Hello, Linda. Hello. Hello, Linda.
Good evening, Kato.
Good evening to you, my dear. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I can't hear.
Yeah, I can
Kato,
see
I've just got a
you.
problem with my sound.
Okay. I can hear you. Okay? Can you hear me?
Kato, can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? I can. I can hear you. I can hear you perfectly well.
Okay, just hold on, sorry. Would you like to start with your introduction? I'm just trying to get my sound sorted out.
Very good. I mean, I'll give you the time. I mean, yeah. What we are going to do today, we are going to have 1 hour and a half.
Can you just hear nothing?
Linda, we have 1 hour and a half more time than usual. Can you hear me?
Kato, I'm having a problem with my sound.
Okay, we can
just
wait.
Hold on, I'm
We
just
can
sorting my
wait. No
sound out.
worries. Let me send you a message.
Can you just tell him I'm having a problem with my sound, Abraham?
Yes, we are fixing our sound. Dennis may tell you. Hello.
Good evening.
Good
Hi,
evening to
Kato,
you,
I'm
Linda.
back. So, sorry about that. I had a problem with my sound. I think you can hear me now.
I can hear you quite well.
It's good. How are you
see.
tonight?
I'm okay.
You're growing a beard.
A lot of it. I keep on shaving
That
it.
distinguished look. Good to see you, Kato.
Yeah, nice seeing you again. And we are live online.
Great, thank you.
And well done.
Thank you so much. Welcome to everyone viewing us tonight. We're very excited because we've got a guest from Zambia joining us later during the show. And we are just so overwhelmed with the support we've had across our platforms this week and in the last month that we've been doing the show. We have, I think I worked out, we've got about 25% of the African continent represented now in our group. And people from all over Africa and the world watching our shows, especially after the show's been aired. So we really are grateful to all of you. Tonight first month we covered homosexuality in Africa. Tonight we are covering, we're kicking off with a general program on the issues that we're facing across Africa with our dictatorship governments, with the looting of our mineral wealth by the West and the East, and by the common issues we all realizing we have with the substandard education system, the suppression of our people, and the human rights abuses is a big one for us because we are suffering them in every single country. Everyone who stands up against as an opposition to government, while silenced, imprisoned, disappear, go missing, or are just arrested under bogus charges for years and years. And our journalists, writers, activists are all being threatened or killed or imprisoned, tortured. And the issues that we face are that so many of us are being forced to flee Africa into exile, into foreign countries, overseas, because we view each other as foreigners and not neighbors. And just speaking to people on the groups, we've become aware of the fact that we're actually not, that is what our governments tell us, but we are actually so united as an African continent when we start speaking to each other and realizing now that we're talking through the internet. Thank goodness we have the internet now. We can actually realize that there are so many of us going through exactly the same things in every single country. And once you start talking to each other, you realize that that is the case. So we're going to be talking tonight in general. I'm going to be talking after our guest speaker about the age of our dictator governments, how they're all connected together. And we're going to be talking about rule in Africa in general, and the resistance all our opposition parties are getting to new leadership and new ways of doing things in Africa. I'm also going to be touching on the looting and theft of our minerals across the continent by the West and the East, in cahoots with our dictator governments and presidents. And then tonight we're going to be focusing on Zambia as one of our countries. We have a guest speaker from Zambia here tonight, which we're very much looking forward to. I am a Zimbabwean, and Zambia and Zimbabwe were one. We were all before we had our fences and borders. So those of you who know me know I'm very upset that all our gold and diamonds were stolen, which have been used to build the UK, De Beers diamonds and Anglo-Americans. So I'm always happy to speak with a fellow African from all over our continent, because we are neighbours, not foreigners, and we need to unite and stand together, because together we are weaker than we are as a continent as a whole. So Kato, I'm going to pass back over to you now. I know you'll be introducing our guest tonight, and then I will be here and speak to you at the end of that about my side of what I'm talking about tonight.
Thank you very much, my friend, my sister, Linda. As I normally say, you give me the reason to continue moving forward with Africa, because how beautiful we are. Black, white, yellow, red. I think we also have green people. all colors are in Africa. Africa is the motherland, and we are happy to be here as one family. Today, we are going to talk about Zambia as a case study, but the main theme, of course, is Africa, politics, and democracy. And our main guest for tonight is none other than Fidel Solomon Ngoma, who is a policy and political analyst in Zambia, and will be taking through what is happening in Zambia. And I'm happy that tonight we shall be able to handle this topic and we shall be able to learn quite a lot from Zambia. Dennis.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening to you. Before
Good
we get
evening.
to you, Fidelis, before we get to you, just a minute, allow me to ask Dennis, our programmer, to share with us our introduction poem, which is going to usher us into this kind of discussion going forward. And after it, I'll be inviting you to kickstart the whole discussion on Zambia, politics and democracy. Dennis, over to you. Can we have our poem from Zambia, actually, from Chris Jemba, Zambia. Let us have this poem, which introduces us to the main subject of this very important theme. Dennis, over to you if you are ready. Dennis, you can't have our poem. Okay. Okay, Dennis says the network is slow. Now, let us continue right away. In the introduction, my sister Linda has introduced us the whole episode we're going to have today, but also the bigger theme, politics, democracy in Africa is a big, big theme. Of course, we cannot forget to mention that we are going to be handling country by country sometimes, but sometimes we often get a theme which is cross-cutting throughout the continent. Tonight, we are going to have a Ngoma. Ngoma, I'm going to invite you right away. And dig in, take us through Zambia. Let us understand what's happening in our lovely country. I must say, before you come in, that Zambia is the second biggest copper producer in Africa. Let us hear from you now, Fidelis. We are welcome. You are welcome.
Yes, it's the largest producer of copper in Africa, and it's actually a very rich mineral country. If I would put it in simple terms, to say Zambia is endured with what God has destined given us in terms of minerals. Actually, it may not only be copper, but there are other minerals that have been discovered in various parts of the country. And in the northern part of Zambia, where we have gold, in the eastern part of Zambia, we also have gold. So, which has the largest reserve of copper, I would say, in Africa.
Yeah. Continue, Solomon.
I hope you're hearing me.
I can hear you. Take us through.
Yes, we can hear you.
In Zambia.
Okay. The network is quite slow in my country. I don't know today. I don't know what has happened to the network today in my country. So we have seen the topic, the politics and more democracy in Africa. I will specifically spend so much time on my country, Mother Zambia, where we call it Mother Zambia, the frontline state leader of the SADC liberation movement. I'm sure my sister there, Linda, understand that for a very long time, Zambia played an important role in liberating the SADC region and Africa at large. In 1958, when the Kenneth David Kaunda and his colleagues, Simon Masakapwepwe, Arthur Wina, Harry Nkumbula, launched the liberation struggle of trying to free our people, because they realized that the colonial masters had already described our people that we were incapable of doing anything. And this angered Kenneth Kaunda and his colleagues to say, we need to free our people. We want our people to have better education, better accommodation, a better lifestyle. And in so doing, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda and his colleagues inspired a generation of young people in Zambia.
Yes, Solomon, we shall be able to get you back. Network can be bad. I'll continue from where Solomon has stopped, and I give you a brief about Zambia. And after which, Solomon will be back, and then we shall continue with Solomon. Solomon, when you're back, I'll be seeing you, and I'll be able to allow you reconnect. In the meantime, let me give you just a brief about Mother Zambia. Now, Zambia was a colony of the British. And history shows us that the British occupied Zambia from 1888. From 1888, and only left it, and I'm putting it in quotation marks, or gave it independence, again in quotation marks, in 1964. That was 24th October 1964. This is when history shows us that this beautiful country got her independence from the British. And we know very well that if we follow this history, that is quite a number of years of British rule in Mother Zambia. And again, we note that in Zambia, it was actually a company at first, the British South African Company, which steward mineral rights. A company comes in and gets mineral rights over your country, over your territory, and later on, it takes over. And then all of you are subjects. So that's how Britain took over Zambia. We are talking about 1888. And then we also know that by that time, 1888 to 1999, it was declared as part of what they called the Baltisland, Northern Western Rhodesia. And Zambia was originally called Northern Rhodesia. As my sister there, Linda is a Zimbabwean. Linda is a Zimbabwean. And in Zimbabwe, for you are Southern Rhodesia.
We were Southern Rhodesia, yes.
Yes, and you simply have a boundary of a stretch of land which divides these two beautiful countries.
Correct.
One in the north, another in the south. And these are all mineral-rich countries. Africa has been endowed by all these resources. Zambia, as we have just said, is the second largest copper mining, copper providing country in Africa. And it is the 10th biggest country to deliver copper to the world, in the world, the 10th in the world. So the country we talk about today, Zambia, is very rich in terms of minerals, very, very rich. But also another niche it has over others is that Zambia is a tourist destination. Quite lovely country. It has some of the best tourist sites in the world. It has a very rich culture. It has a very, very welcoming people. Of course, all of us in Africa, be it Linda there, be it an African, we are very welcoming because Africa is the mother of Ubuntu, as I've been always saying, and Africa is the mother of humanism. So Zambia is known for welcoming everyone. It's a very, very welcoming, hospitable country with a hospitable people, very lovely people. And of course, we know that the name Zambia was later got from Zambezi River because it was first called Northern Rhodesia, and then the name was changed to Zambezi River, and then we picked the name Zambia from the Zambezi River. Now, Zambia, which is now picked from the Zambezi River, and we have said that it has the rich tourist destination, it has the best wildlife you can talk about. Zambia has about 72 languages. I'm giving the listener a history for Zambia. Zambia has 72 languages, and of course, Swahili, a language that is becoming more African because it's dominating many countries in Africa. Swahili is spoken in Zambia. Of course, there is Afrikaner because we have white Africans in Zambia. who have been there for so many years, who own land, who have made a contribution to Africa, white Africans in Zambia. So they're speaking of Afrikaners. And then, of course, English being one of the other languages we can get in Zambia. And of course, when we talk about Zambia, don't forget about the natural resources. Zambia is immensely wealthy, immensely rich, very rich country, so many resources, very nice water bodies. Zambia generates 80% of its hydroelectricity using its own natural water. And it is said Zambia can supply the region with electricity because Zambia is wealthy in terms of fertile soils, in terms of natural water bodies. And of course, the minerals of Zambia are quite many. When you look at the economy of Zambia, of course, the minerals and all that, we are talking about a population of about 20 million people, not so many people in Zambia. If you compare it with Uganda, for example, where I come from, I'm a Ugandan. Linda is a Zimbabwean, may tell us the population in Zimbabwe, the south of South Africa. But Zambia doesn't have a very big population per se, if you compare with other African countries. And we are talking about a country with wealth. We are talking about a country where we are told that the total private wealth of Zambia is $14 billion US. The total private wealth, not that, the total private wealth of Zambia is $14 billion US. And wealth per capita, going by IMF and World Bank data, the wealth per capita in Zambia is US $720 wealth per capita. And we have been told, when we look at research, that Zambia has 30 million multi-millionaires, US multi-millionaires. So Zambia has very rich people also among the society. 30 of them are US multi-million dollars. And now the question we have been asking, we're going to ask later is, with all these vast resources in Zambia, how are people in Zambia standing? We are talking about Zambia with a democracy or multi-party democracy since independence. I cannot talk about Zambia without talking about Kenneth Kaunda, who was the first prime minister of this beautiful country and the inaugural president. When Zambia was getting high independence on the 24th of October, 1964. So we talk about Kenneth Kaunda, a man I take as a humanist. And I've been saying in my history as a humanist that one man, Kenneth Kaunda, shaped my humanism. And when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, I used to put on Kaunda suits. You used call them Kaunda suits from Kenneth Kaunda. You know, Zambia was a torch for humanism. In fact, in the constitution of Zambia and in the policy, humanism was part of the philosophies of Zambia. Ubuntu, I am because you are because I am. Zambia was a torchbearer for humanism in Africa. So when we are going to benchmark Zambia, we look at the history of Zambia, where Zambia comes from a spirit, a backbone of humanism, of togetherness, of one people, one love, of solidarity. Zambia has had all these people. There are Chinese in Zambia. Of course, the Bush have been there. The Afrikaners in Zambia. But these are all welcome in Zambia. And we talk about Zambia in terms of its minerals, of course. We talk about Zambia in terms of its economy. Let us talk about the debt in Zambia. Zambia's debt is also quite big. We have to look at that. Actually, Zambia owes World Bank US dollars 1.4 billion US dollars. Now, if Zambia is 14 billion US dollars, it owes World Bank alone 1.4 billion. And then Zambia owes the rest because China demands Zambia. Zambia owes China. Zambia owes the Arab Development Bank. Zambia owes UK. Zambia owes Nigeria. And Zambia owes South Africa, among others. And Zambia has a total debt from these countries only of 27 billion US dollars. Now, if Zambia is having a wealth of net about $14 billion, it has debts of $27 billion. Now, the question has been always, where does this money go? When you come to South Africa, we shall look at the debt burden. When you go to Uganda, we shall be crying. When you go to Kenya, we shall do the same thing. Where does the money go? When you get all these loans, how are the roads in Zambia? How is the infrastructure in Zambia? How are the hospitals in Zambia? How is the life of the common man in Zambia when you have one of the biggest copper reserves in the world, earning billions of dollars each year? But look at Zambia's people. Look at the high food crisis. Prices in Zambia. 64% of income of Zambians is spent on food, according to statistics from World Bank. 64% of their income is spent on food, and the price of food is skyrocketing every day. Food goes up every day, and it's becoming even worse with the war in Ukraine. And someone was asking, how come in Africa we have the best soils, we have the best climate in the world, and we still lack food? We can't grow enough food. What is wrong with Africa? How do we fix our stuff? How do we fix our act? Why should we be depending on Ukraine, which is so small a country, to feed Africa in terms of rice? So when you look at Zambia, we are told by statistics, World Bank, IMF statistics, of course, I'm basing on here, is that 1/3 of the children under 5 years in Zambia are malnourished and therefore are stunted. 1/3 of the children in Zambia are stunted. And you know why stunted? Because they're not eating properly. But at the same time, Zambia has all these debts from all these countries. At the same time, Zambia is one of the richest countries in the world, not in Africa, one of the richest countries in the world. And unfortunately, most of the resources of Zambia is being stolen by investors. The Chinese, the Europeans, everyone comes in Zambia and steal. But the children of Zambia, 1/3 of the children of Zambia are stunted, are malnourished, don't eat enough, don't eat well. When you look at the people of Zambia, they are poor. The roads are poor. Lusaka, the capital state of Zambia, is in poor state. When you look at the state, like just the photos you get from there, the slums, quite many. So the question is, we are asking tonight, why do we have these bad things happening in beautiful countries in Africa? When you look at HIV, malaria, TB in Zambia, it's quite a big problem. The health sector is still struggling with HIV, malaria, and TB. Many Zambians are sick. They're suffering. Like many of us in Africa have health problems, of course. Things like malaria, which should have been history. Why should someone be dying from malaria when other countries have eradicated malaria? But we continue dying from malaria as number one disease killing people. Malaria, not HIV. Forget about HIV. Malaria kills more people than HIV in Africa. And you can be interested to know that even accidents kill more people. Accidents kill more people than HIV. Things like wars kill more people than HIV. HIV is no longer a big threat in Africa. Wars sponsored by foreigners with interest in Africa, so that Africans kill each other. Wars, religious-based wars, economic-based wars in Africa kill more people than these diseases they talk about. In Africa, cancer doesn't kill as many people as war does, as poverty does. You know, where is Africa's problem? When you look at democracy, I'm concluding, I'm going to invite my sister Linda to give a submission. When you look at democracy in Zambia, democracy, we are told that since 1991, Zambia has held 9 presidential elections since 1991. And 7 of them have been general elections. And there are 4 main political parties in Zambia. 4 main political players: UNIP, MMD, PF, and UPND. And today, the United Party of National Development is in power when you look at the results here in my research. And as we talk today, the leader of opposition, Dr. Phiri, Lady Mumbi Phiri, she's in prison. Zambia, just like Uganda, is full of trouble. It's full of trouble. Just like many other parts in Africa, Hon Mumbi Phiri, that lady, is in prison. Why? Because a dictator in Zambia cannot stomach an opposition leader, a lady. He's even fearing to compete with a lady. A lady, you fear to compete with a lady for presidency, and you fear to be challenged. These are cowardly men in leadership. Ladies are our mothers. We have to respect them, not to imprison them. We have to listen to them. Ladies are our mothers. In Africa, we respect women. Why should we be imprisoning this woman, Dr. Honorable Mumbi Phiri, who is in prison because she is protesting the corruption, skyrocketing corruption in Zambia. If I give you the statistics of corruption, you may cry, because whatever is being earned in Zambia, much of it is being stolen by those gurutons in power. Look at the helpless women Honorable Mumbi Phiri is trying to coordinate with. She's hands-on the ground, opposition leader in Zambia, and she's being imprisoned on fake charges, and even her lawyers are being stopped from having production warrant respected in courts of law. What is happening to Mother Africa? Why should opposition leaders be in prison? Why should corruption be a culture now in Africa? Corruption was never part of us. Corruption was part of Europe for so many years. Africa was free from corruption. And we are copying bad things from Europe, including corruption, and put them in Africa. Africa never had prisons, for example. If you look at our history, we are copying all bad cultures from wherever and import them in Africa. Corruption, we had good leaders. We had democracy our own way, not democracy of stealing votes. We had our own version of democracy in Africa. We respected our elders, we respected our mothers. And today, we are fighting them. Today, when women come into leadership, we are imprisoning them. You look at Rwanda, we want to cry because the opposition leader in Rwanda is a lady, Ngabirwe. And she's also in prison. She has been in prison for so many, many years. So Africa, the problems are general. Today, we look at Zambia. And of course, we're going to touch about other countries briefly. And I want to welcome my sister Linda on the floor. Now, as we continue talking about this issue, please now, the floor is yours. I've made a brief analysis of Zambia. And the strength of Zambia lies in her people because it has a very young population. And the population with a mental attitude that is positive for growth. Zambia wants development. Linda, over to you about Zambia and the rest of Africa. Thank you. I can't hear Linda. I can't hear you, Linda. I can't hear you, Linda.
Hi, Kato. You can hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Great. Thanks for that. I'm sorry that we lost connection with Zambia, but those of you know that in every single one of our countries, we deal with electricity issues where our power just goes off for no reason. We have connection issues all the time, and we never know when they're going to happen. I think the more of us that speak, we actually realize that we've got blackouts in every single country in Africa, although we are such amazing energy producers, and things like outdoor lighting were first developed here in Africa, electricity and things, which the West, of course, took credit for. But I just wanted to say thank you again and welcome to everybody. That was really interesting. I think it's super Kata that we are focusing on different countries, because it really gives us an idea of what's going on just across the Garden Wall, if you could say it that way. That many of us, we get so caught up in what is happening in our own countries, we don't worry about the people around us, which not only goes against our spirit of Ubuntu as African people, but also it's been designed that way because when our continent was colonized by the British and other countries as well, obviously, we were separated. We had borders and fences put between us, and we had to move with permits and passports. Even now, it's very difficult for people to get into South Africa from other countries. We need passports to travel and work in other countries, and it was never like that before. Whenever you want to weaken something, you break it. You start by breaking it down. So by breaking down tribes, land, ancestral land. And then, of course, we've also had issues in individual countries where different groups are pitted against each other. And what I see across Africa is the deliberate breakdown of family units. If we think how many single mothers there are raising children alone, how many broken families there are, children being raised by grandmothers and mothers, and we are just a completely broken continent now, and that is not how we are as African people. So I think that we've started to see there is a common thread here. The biggest thing that I hear from people around Africa is we've been independent since the 60s, 70s. South Africa was one of the latest, but we're not actually independent. We are not independent. South Africa is not free of apartheid. We are not free of independence. I honestly, personally feel that we are still under colonial and other countries' rule, and like South Africa is under apartheid rule. It's just been repackaged to us in a different way. So it's the same thing. History repeats itself. It's just changed gears. And I think I first noticed this when I am 100% African government schooled, and I was raised in the extremely oppressive then Rhodesian education system, which was created by the British to raise the whites up and to oppress Black people. And I'll talk about that in detail in one of our shows. But it was a horrible, horrible system, which I studied afterwards. And that system was used to build the South African education system. And then, of course, a couple of years ago when we went into lockdown and we had to teach our children at home, my kids came home with their history books. And of course, I love history. It's a passion of mine. It has been my whole life. And I got that. My father was very passionate as well about history. I was absolutely horrified to see in my children's history books the then Rhodesian education system. I could not believe that it was still present, despite what it says on the cover about the new South African education system. And then I really started going into that in detail. And it since led me to discover that our education system in South Africa is owned by Pearson International, a UK company. And then I thought, well, let me just check. And I did a quick check on Zimbabwe. So the Zimbabwean education system, as Robert Mugabe had put that into place. And I was horrified because it's there too. And then I started looking at every single country ever colonized by the British. And it is still owned by the UK. And I thought, sure, how could our president at the time not have known this? That then led me onto a completely new path. And I started connecting with the most amazing people through the work that I was researching and writing about. Precious Ebenezer in Nigeria, who is uncovering and writing about our true history in Africa. And really connecting with other work that I did through other countries and seeing that there is a huge thing here. I think we know now that our governments were compromised, when independences were all a sham. I believe any good leaders that we have had, and we have had good leaders, they've either been assassinated, or they've died too young, or they've been overthrown and been replaced by dictators. And I think that people can slowly start to see what is really happening on our continent, is that we do not own our minerals. We don't have any rights. We are just basically being kept oppressed, kept stricken by poverty and famine, when we have the land in Africa to grow food for the entire world. We should certainly not be the begging bowl of the world. And I'm tired of us as African people being made out to be these poor, oppressed, violent people. It's okay because, you know, they're Africans and they're used to living like that, and violence is the way they sort things out. Well, it's not. That's not how we are. We are not naturally a violent people. The first violence and death, murder, genocide, rape, torture, and imprisonment we saw on this continent was the British, what they did to us. We didn't know that before. Taking our people and putting them into concentration camps. That is not the African way. I'm tired of being told that we are not as good, not as capable, not as clever, not as intelligent as a continent, because we are everything. And we will be going into that with Precious Ebenezer, that Africa discovered all the continents in the world, and we used to be the world leaders, which is why we are so oppressed. I'm so tired of the narrative that Black people believe that they are less worthy, less important, when we have the most amazing, amazing people who have left Africa, are leading the way worldwide that you never hear about, with inventions, with their writing, with things they're developing, especially in the field of medicine. And I just think that we've got to stand up as Africans. I have been criticized in the past, as far back as 10 years ago, for being too positive about Africa. I'm seeing Africa through rose-tinted glasses. I've worked and traveled in several countries in Southern and East Africa. I certainly do not see my continent through rose-tinted glasses. I see it for what it is, but I always look on the positive side of things, because I know that we are a great, amazing continent, and we have so much potential. I think people don't realize that the size of our continent is massive. It's misrepresented on maps. The entire UK fits into Uganda. We can fit America, China into our boundaries. And when I show people, they are always amazed, because they imagine America and the UK to be these huge empires, but they're not. The UK is a tiny little rainy, miserable island, and it's cold, and it has got not nice temperatures for growing food. Why are we reliant on America and the UK for food when we have everything here that we need in Africa? First of all, we've got the people with the skills. We've got wonderful seed and products which are being also taken from us and tried to be modified in that, which we will not allow to happen. And we've got perfect climate, perfect rainfall, perfect land. We've got game, we've got water, we've got natural vegetation, We don't need all this crap that we sold from overseas, processed products and stuff like that. I won't go so far as to tell everybody to just eat cassava, but you know what I mean. Going back to a completely natural diet and being the food producers of the world, which is what we were. Zambia, who we're talking about tonight, Zambia and Zimbabwe were the breadbaskets of the world, together with Tanzania, Kenya, and Nigeria also has lots of unused agricultural land. So I just want to say to everyone watching, if you look at the facts, we have everything we need, plus we have our minerals as well. Sorry, I'm going to take some water. Africa currently holds 33% of the world's remaining minerals. So the non-renewable resources. Once they're gone, they're gone. They take millions and millions of years to replenish. And it's been said, and it's true, that our minerals are our greatest blessing, but they're also our biggest curse, because it's because of our minerals, because we are the wealthiest continent worldwide for our minerals. And our oil in countries like Nigeria, If you look, and we will be doing this throughout the show with everything we cover in upcoming episodes, if you look at the countries that have had the most unrest and violence and war since independence, like the DRC, and then you look at what minerals they've got and why there's so much trouble there and why their people are so oppressed and born into a life of poverty and war, as we all are. We've got to stand up and say, we've had enough now. This is it. I'm tired of people also saying to me that we were better off when we were under colonial rule. I hear people in Uganda saying to me we were better off under Idi Amin rule than we are under Museveni rule at the moment. And that horrifies me. But when you think of it, people say, even we never used to have as much crime, violence, we all had jobs, we all had food. Now we've got none of that. Plus we've got the dictatorship as well. Now, on the ticker tape, I've put some stuff there that Dennis, thank you Dennis, has put up for us. Just to give you an idea, that we have got our oldest 7 rulers in Africa. So the current ages of African dictators, which are otherwise known as presidents, we've got Paul Biya in Cameroon. He is 89 years old. We have Manuel Pinto da Costa in Sao Tome and Principe. He's 85 years old. Alpha Conde in Guinea is 84 years old. Alassane Ouattara, Ivory Coast, he's 80 years old. Muhammad Buhari, Nigeria. His public age is 80, but he's actually 83 years old. They all go for plastic surgery. You know, I'm convinced they use our education budgets, what little they are, for their little top-ups and Botox. To try and look younger, but really. Nana Akufo-Addo in Ghana is 80 years old, and Museveni is 80 years old. Those are just the top 7. Now, if you look at, say, 80, 89 years old, most people retire at the age of 60. If you compare, I mean, physically, a man is not at his best physically or mentally. He should be sitting in the sun somewhere with all his grandchildren around him. But no, they are still ruling us, and there's a reason for that. Then we have terrible dictators where we can see that they quite clearly they think they're kings and they own the land themselves and they can just loose and steal as they like and pass it on to their sons and that as the kingdoms were. But people are slowly waking up to that fact, and I think that we've got the longest leader, non-royal ruler in the world in Africa. That is in Equatorial Guinea. So we have someone, Theodora Obiang, who's ruled there for 43 years. That's a whole lifetime. I mean, in Cameroon, 38-year rule, 37-year rule in the Congo. And then we've got, of course, Uganda, 36 years. And the only other long time ruling is the Queen of England, who's 96 years old, and she's been ruling for 70 years. And what I say to people, all these presidents were young, revolutionaries, they all have military backgrounds. When we fought for our independence from the UK, their enemy was then a very young queen. They are now all still ruling our continent with the enemy, the very, very old queen, still they are. And as you were saying earlier, Kato, what we see happening is that we have these most amazing young African leaders that are the opposition parties that never get anywhere because most of our elections are rigged. Our independent elections in Zimbabwe were rigged. And I say that factually with written accounts and records of that time that I can prove that. But I'm pretty sure we know that Uganda's elections were rigged last year because we've got the footage and that of that as well. And I can guarantee that in most of our countries, our leaders are not chosen. We don't choose our leaders; they are already chosen for us, and it's all controlled. I just think that people need to have a look and see also, and I see it in Nigeria at the moment, and it's really sad. You will have like 4 or 5 opposition parties, and need to remember that for example, those 4 opposition parties are not, they are one and the same. They are just packaged different with different colors, different logos, different people, different faces, but they are all elements of dictatorship. And then the one party that does stand out is pushed down and made out to be, which is the one person that could perhaps save the country. And I see that also in Uganda over the years, the opposition parties, not just Bobby Wine, but before that, where there had been people who could have really taken Uganda out of the mess that it's in, but those people never get to see the time of day. And people are looking at other opposition parties and thinking, well, this is going to be better than who's ruling us now, not realizing that it's actually the same person, but just packaged differently. It's the same regime. So I think that people need to start having a look at that, and also seeing that a lot of these people who love to call themselves revolutionaries are anything but. They are mercenary, they are killers. And a lot of what we have been told are revolutions have actually been bloody military coups. And people also have to start realizing that you can't just, it's okay to question authority. Your president, the people in a properly run country, the people have a say in how public funding is used, and they don't just let the president make decisions for them. And as African people, we are the strongest, most intelligent, most incredible, amazing people in the world. And we need to start standing up non-violently, speaking out for our rights and speaking out for the rights of those around us as well. And saying that we no longer accept this, we no longer accept this. How dare the West and East think that they own us and that they are just oppressing us so that we don't become the next generation to take this continent forward. Kato, I know you said as well about the incredibly population of young people in Africa, and that's also because of our wars, and that we've been a little bit of an imbalance. We've had so many people of a certain age group taken out in wars and killed in genocide. But that is the thing. We are a young continent. We really are, and we have got the most brilliant, forward-thinking people, and the brains and the know-how with new ideas. Most of our presidents were born in the 1940s. Now, if you think of that, that was during World War II, or we were just coming out of World War II. Things like, I just had a quick look, aerosol cans were only being discovered. We had no computers, we had no internet, we had so many things we take for granted today. How can men of that era still be leading us forward in a completely new digital era with technology and computers, and the whole world has changed. Politics around the world has changed, but yet we've still got old men who were alive during World War II trying to tell us the best way to run our continent. So that is really, I think, the thing that we're all standing up against, and we're realizing that the opposition leaders in each country, the people who can lead their countries forward, are being imprisoned and compromised and all being forced to flee. We're being silenced. All of us are being silenced. And I think you agree as well, Kato, that we need to start standing up for human rights in each country, and we need to start standing up for each other. I am living in, I will say, a completely peaceful, wonderful, marvelous, no issues South Africa. Yes, of course, there are issues at the moment. We had our looting last year, and we have electricity issues. The South Africans think they've got it bad. They do not even know how lucky they are in this country. That everyone has still got food to eat, that there is no political issues, really, violence and disappearances and things like that. Yet, Zambia and Zimbabwe, we don't connect much with them, but we keep apart. Botswana and Namibia, they're having a lot of problems. It's only the countries in the south so far that are not having it blatantly, obviously. We don't have people going missing and stuff like that. And that's why I feel that the countries in southern Africa, not Zimbabwe and Zambia, but those of us who can still speak up and have our rights sort of kind of adhered to, but not really. We have a lot more freedom, and I have a lot more freedom as a writer here than I do anywhere else in Africa. We need to speak up for our brothers and sisters, our neighboring countries that are suffering. We can no longer have this attitude, that's Nigeria, it's not us. That's Ghana, it's not us. It's Malawi, it's Zambia. No, it is us, it's all of us. I don't know how any country can feel. You can cut your neighbors off, we're not islands, we need each other. And we need to start speaking out for other countries as well and saying, we're not happy with what's happening in Ghana. We are not happy with what's happening in Zambia. We certainly don't like what's happening in Nigeria. And the West is not coming to save us. Neither is the East coming to save us. no supernatural being is coming to save us. Only we can save ourselves as African people. We have the determination, the strength of will, power, and the intelligence, and the kindness to do it. Because it's just, I'm going to coin a phrase from Nigeria's Omoyele Sowore, who his party, we can't continue like this. And it's so true. We cannot continue like this, Africa. I think we need to borrow that slogan for the whole continent. Each country, we cannot continue like this. We look at our minerals alone. We hold 33% of the world's remaining mineral reserves, as I said. We've got places like the DRC produces 70% of the world's cobalt. That is huge. Zambia also produces a lot. We were talking about the copper earlier. We've got copper in other countries as well, and they're calling that the new oil. If we look at Nigeria, Nigeria is, I throw myself so much behind Nigeria because it is such a badly misrepresented country worldwide, but there's a reason for that, you see. Now, Nigerians are feared everywhere. The Nigerians and Somalis are feared. The Nigerians are brandished drug dealers, scammers, terrorists. They are anything but. It's a small percentage of who they are. Just like we all have that element in every country. We mustn't judge countries on the worst of their people, but rather on the best of their people, because the majority of people in each country are the best. And the Nigerians are the most amazing people. You will find the most kind-hearted, loving, humanitarian people in the majority there, who are really, really suffering. But everybody is afraid of them and is too scared to get involved with Nigeria. Nigeria is our most important country at the moment. They have critical elections going on there next year that if they go the wrong way, our entire continent hinges on what happens in Nigeria next year. If those of you, and I mean, I'm not a political fundi, but the political analysis in that amongst you will know with the crucial Nigeria, with its oil reserves and everything that's gone on there from its history, from its independence, 1960 is when the United Nations first put a permanent base in Nigeria. The United Nations are not upholding human rights. We are reliant on them for food aid. We are reliant on them for the International Criminal Court. There's corruption throughout everything. I remember my father saying to me, I hope the United Nations don't overstay their welcome on our continent. We are Africans, we are perfectly capable of having taken over all those services. We should not be reliant on food aid at all. And I'm just saying is that Nigeria is absolutely crucial in what is happening in Nigeria, because what happens there next year is what's going to be happening in every single one of our countries. That's why I backed Omoyele Sowore as president of Nigeria. And people who've got a history for their entire lives of working for human rights. And I say to people now, the people that are standing as opposition parties in each of your countries, what have they done in the last however many years you've been independent? You look at someone like Omoyele Sowore, you look at Bobby Wine, and they love to put them down. They love to refer to Bobby Wine as being a pop singer. Meanwhile, he is a talented musician in his own right, nothing like a pop singer, Spice Girls. Omoyele Sowore, they love to say, oh, he's just an activist. Meanwhile, he is responsible for setting up the most uncompromised news source in Africa, which is getting news stories out, and he is exposing corruption with validated facts and evidence. But they play all that down, you see, and they all the people that follow them, they are lazy, uncouth, unemployed youth. Meanwhile, these are feisty, revolutionary, forward-thinking men that want a better country for themselves. So I'm just speaking of the countries that I know of, but I know that it's happening everywhere. Nigeria has it's the 10th in the world for oil reserves. Nigeria holds 2.2% of the world's stock. It's 9th in the world for underground gas reserves, which is the next big thing. And if you just look at the wealth that Nigeria has, Nigeria is our wealthiest country. And Nigeria potentially, with the minerals that it has that we know of, is potentially the wealthiest country worldwide, absolutely worldwide. And that is why Nigeria has always been targeted. And that's why I'm just saying to people, we've got to start opening our eyes. You don't want to speak to the Nigerians because you're scared of them and you think of this. There's a reason why the South Africans are being pitted against Nigeria at the moment, our two biggest countries, the biggest militaries. And we just have to see it for what it is. But you can't believe what you hear on TV, in the newspapers, or on Facebook. You've got to speak to people in those countries and find out exactly what's happening, which is what we're doing now. And that is how we, I believe, will slowly start to make changes, which is what we're going to be covering in upcoming shows. So thank you, Kato. My time is up. I was very good tonight. I stayed within my time, and I didn't have anybody to remind me because they all fell asleep again, but I'm fine.
Logan?
Okay.
I'm gonna have to swipe down. It might go out. How long does he talk for?
We're ending.
Are you sure your volume isn't down?
Yeah.
No, he has. It's not your side.
These are Kato's unmuted. Kato, sorry for interrupting you. I don't know if you can hear me, but Dennis is asking, can you unmute your mic, please?
Sorry. Oh, wow. I'm very sorry. Yes,
Sorry.
my mic was actually off because I wanted to give you time to really talk. Okay. Thank you so much, Linda, for that very great expression, that great illustration, that great lecture you have given us. And I have to thank you to say especially that you are so good because you married Zambia with the rest of Africa. You gave examples from Uganda, where we have a dictator aging in 80s and still wants to rule until he dies. You gave examples of Nigeria. You gave examples of Africa. We have leaders that were born in the 1950s and 1940s, 1930s. Now, if you're born in 1930s, go rest. Honestly, go rest. Go rest. Even us who are born in the 70s, we are getting tired. What are you doing? You are born in 1930s. Go and rest, Jaja. We respect our grandparents. Go and be a grandparent. Rest. This is what I've been telling Dictator Museveni in Uganda. You are the Jaja. Jaja means grandparent. And we respect our elders. Why do you want us to fight you? Museveni, born in the 1930s, you are in 80s plus, you still want to be a president, just like Mugabe, how he died, embarrassed, a disgrace of his own country, because you want to rule until you die. I mean, Linda, you touched the raw nerve. And I have to thank you for bringing out the element of our wealth. I repeat this. Africa is the wealthiest continent in the world. They can challenge us if they want, whoever wants. And we shall continue telling it to the world that we are the wealthiest continent. That's why everyone wants to come and scramble and steal. They scrambled for Africa, Bismarck and the thieves in England, Spain, Portugal, all those thieves from Germany, all those thieves scrambled to steal Africa, to take the resources, to partition Africa, 70 countries, talk about Belgium scrambling to kill millions of Congolese in Africa, taking their minerals and wealth and all that. So the scramble for Africa and the petition has never ended. The thieves from Europe continue to plunder Africa, continue to steal everything. But despite that, the wealth remains. But as you warn, Linda, and rightly so, that some of our resources are not renewable, we must be careful because they can deplete them. And the bad thing for Africa is that Africa has hyenas for leaders. Hyenas. Linda, you know you're an African, you know our animals in Africa. You know how hyenas behave. Hyenas are so greedy. Hyenas are like fox. Hyenas are not like lions. Africans are lions, but the thieves are hyenas. They don't want to hunt. They want to get everything on the platter, silver plate. The thieves in Africa are hyenas. The politicians are hyenas, greedy foxes, used like pawns by the West to steal from their own and take it outside Africa.
They're like vultures, actually, just hanging there.
Yes. So I want to thank you so much, Linda, for that exposure, for that discussion you gave, balancing Africa, Zambia with the rest of Africa, and looking at the leadership that is outgrowing its usefulness. Linda, me and you respect our elders. My father died in 2017
Absolutely.
at 81. My father died at 81 in 2017, and I was respecting my father. My mother is 80 plus. I'm respecting my mother. We don't say we don't respect our elders, but our elders have misled Africa. Our elders have misruled Africa. We are saying it's time for young people to take over. After all, the largest population in Africa is young people. Not even me. I'm 40 plus. Not even you, Linda. You are my age mate. The youngest population
I'm 50 plus.
Is below 30. Population in Africa is below 30. So we want to give power to young people because they are there. They have been trained. They have been mentored. So the question of leadership is very important. Linda, allow me briefly to read through the comments from our online viewers.
Please do, yes.
Of Osuna James, a writer from Uganda and also a member of the Think Tank Africa platform, writes this. He says that Africa's independence is deteriorating every day. He says that we are driving the notch lower and lower. He says that we are still in the hands of the colonialists. And he says 100%. That the colonialists stole. This is what Osuna writes. Colonialists stole, thinking that there was tomorrow. But African leaders still thinking that there is no tomorrow. That's what Osuna says. That even when we had the rotten colonialists stealing from us, beating us, killing us, and stealing from us, but they thought there was a tomorrow. But the rotten African misleaders, when they are stealing Africa, they don't think there's a tomorrow. This is what Osuna is saying. This is what Osuna is saying. So this is the predicament of Africa, having a people who don't love Africa, but they love everything foreign. They are stealing from Africa and investing our monies outside Africa. Why? Because they know there will be a war and they will run away to safe havens in Europe and the US. So they are good at stealing from Africa, go buy properties elsewhere, invest elsewhere, grow other people's economies without growing their own economies. Remember, Linda, I took you through the debt burden of Zambia. I said that companies and countries, Zambia owes them 27 billion US dollars. 27. Zambia owes a World Bank 14 million US dollars. 1.4 billion US dollar. 1.4 billion, not million. 1.4 billion US dollars owed to World Bank alone. Then that is why IMF, there are countries like South Africa which demand money from Zambia. Countries like Nigeria, countries like UK demand money from Zambia. Now you can imagine a country like Zambia, too rich, but good at getting loans. Chinese, I've been writing about it in my books. Chinese are going to buy off Africa because
well, they think they will, but they
they
won't.
have given us so much stupid loans. And Chinese don't respect democracy. Chinese don't value human rights. The Chinese government does not value human rights. I repeat that on this set. Just like the Russian government, for them, they can sponsor any dictator as long as he can play their game. So this is the problem of Africa, and this is the predicament of Africa. We get the wrong allies, wrong people to be our friends, who don't care about our people suffering, who don't care about the poverty in Africa. They don't care about how people are dying, the accidents, the poor infrastructure, the malnourishment, the poor education, which is miseducation. They don't care. What they want is to steal from Africa. And they are conniving with these thieves we call leaders, but I call them rulers. So Africa's problem is multifaceted. It's from all angles. Guys come from wherever they come from, they steal from us. Our thugs within the country continue plundering their own motherland because they are assured of harvesting the wealth and investing it abroad. I've been asking a question to Africans. Mobutu went, but what happened to the wealth he stole? Mobutu stole the wealth of Congo, took billions of dollars, billions, and invested them in Europe, and invested them in Morocco and other countries. What happened? Who followed up that money? When Mobutu was stealing Africa and investing elsewhere, in France, elsewhere, no one was complaining in these Western countries because he was stealing and investing for them. When they die, what happens? They take over the properties. They take over the wealth. Who benefits from the theft that Africans do? When they invest it in Europe, who benefits from the theft Africans do? When Museveni is stealing our wealth in Uganda and investing it in Europe, who is going to benefit? When you hear that they are freezing assets of dictators, the question is, do the countries back home get these resources back? Do our countries get the stolen wealth from Europe and comes back? Do our countries get what has been invested in the US and brought back to Africa? No, it remains there. It means our thugs in Africa work for their fellow thugs in Europe and the US and China. Our thugs in Africa are conduits, are agents of neo-imperialism. This is what we've been talking about as Pan-Africanists, that our thugs in Africa do not love us. They love the West more. They are working for the West. They are stealing from Africa, investing abroad, even when they die, or get indicted, or get arrested, whatever happens to them. The wealth they have stolen does not come back to our countries. So how does the West help us combat corruption? And I have to thank Linda, you are right. You talked about corruption being foreign thing. Yes. Corruption was not part of Africa. Corruption was never part of us. Africa had its own style of wealth accumulation. Africa had its own style and culture that values sharing, community work, community sharing. No one could be so richer than others. The greed was not part of African culture. Greed, capitalism-driven greed. Gluttony is a Western thing. Linda, you and me are born in Africa, are raised in Africa. Africans were not corrupt. Africans were not greedy.
No.
The West taught us
No.
how to be corrupt because the West is corrupt. They are corrupt to the core. And I should repeat this. They taught Africans to be corrupt because they have gone through corruption for so many centuries. Me, a historian, I know how corrupt the West has been for so many centuries, from changing the Bible and everything, distorting history, everything. They are so corrupt. But they will sing on their platform and say, Africans are too corrupt. Africans are too corrupt. Come on. They have taught Africans how to be thugs because they have forced their kind of version of democracy to Africans. You must do this. Yours is bad. Your culture is too bad. Your arrangement is too bad. Your system is too bad. You must follow us. And what happens? Our leaders are stealing from us. Our rulers are stealing from us. And when they steal, as I said, where do they invest the money? Europe, US, China, Asia. Where do they invest their stolen wealth? Why do we have malnourished children in Uganda, Linda, in Zimbabwe? Children not feeding enough. Why? Because the land is foreign owned. Because foreign companies have taken over villages and villages of land. Because we are no longer farming the best way. We are getting all these fertilizers with substances that kill fertility of the soils. We are simply importing everything. Africa has become a net importer of even toothpicks. Linda, we import handkerchiefs. We import.
It's all made in China, rubbish as well.
China dumps every rubbish in Africa. Every rubbish in Africa. China dumps all the nonsense in Africa. And our leaders are clapping hands when our local companies are dying off, Linda. Linda,
exactly, and we have so much skill here that we can produce so many of those things. There's cheap Chinese shit, flooding our markets here, where we've got unemployed people and we've got the skills to make such more beautiful stuff and export it. Why are we being flooded with rubbish? I mean, I bought pencils the other day for one of my kids and they're made in China. Tell me that Africa can't make a pencil. We can make a pencil, a desk, the whole office, the computer, everything. Just let us do it.
Just to check you there, Linda, just think about this, that Africa has the best fruits in the world. We have tomatoes, and I'm always proud African. We have the best soils in the world, the best fruits in the world. But just imagine that we are buying tomato sauce from China. Tomato sauce.
I know. And we're accepting it. Instead of saying we don't want this and we're not buying it and throwing it back, we just passively accept it.
Insulting is it to a tomato farmer in Uganda to eat tomato sauce from elsewhere, when in my village we are having so many tomatoes rotting away? We have mangoes.
We're even getting coffee.
Linda, why should we be buying mango juice from elsewhere? Why should we be buying coffee? I'm taking my coffee here. Why should we be buying coffee processed from wherever when they don't even have coffee? They get it from us like a donation because we simply give them as raw materials. We donate to the West. Africa donates to the West. They don't donate to us.
We do. The aid that comes back to us is actually our own money.
Linda,
they must be laughing at us.
I should tell you this, that my first degree is in economics, my second degree is in law, my third degree is in international commercial law. So I'm a commercial lawyer, but an economist. I can tell you, Linda, Africa donates to the West.
It does, yes.
It's not the reverse. They don't donate to us. We donate to them. We give them raw materials at cheaper prices. They take our minerals. Actually, they steal most of our minerals because the companies don't even declare agreements. In Uganda, we don't know the companies that actually are officially mining our oil and our resources. We have so many. We are the richest country, I think, in Africa. I think Zambia, every country is so rich. Uganda is so rich. But even the agreements investors, the so-called investors make with our government, we don't know them because they are classified. So, in effect, Africa donates to Europe, not the other way around. They don't donate us. That's a lie. They take raw materials at cheaper prices, and then they sell us coffee at a very high price. Everything they take from us, the materials makes phones is from Africa. Do they have them? They get everything from Africa and they make these phones. Then they bring it back. But the question is, why don't we have industries that produce these things when we have materials? If it means borrowing money, why don't our leadership borrow money to invest in industries that help us not to import? Why? If this is not a deliberate move to strangle Africa's economies. Linda, when I was doing my master's degree, my thesis was on money laundering. When I was reading
That's a good one for Africa.
My thesis was on money laundering in Africa. And I was passed by a distinction in my thesis, which means I got it right. I got 80 plus in my thesis. But if I tell you my results of my thesis for my master's degree, Linda, Africa is laundered. Money from Africa is laundered and taken in the US, taken in Europe, and taken in China. And they have opened any september that they can simply get as much money from Africa and take it away. Francophone Africa donates so much to France. France must be the poorest country in the world without Africa.
Yeah, they'll be finished. They wouldn't exist.
And I repeat this on set here. They can challenge me if they want. France must be the poorest country in the world if Africa goes away. Francophone countries are sustaining the French. And they are still imposing even taxes on poor Africans in the so-called Francophone countries. That's why now some people are fighting back. You have heard about the revolutions, the army is taking over. And I wish many Africans in West African countries, formerly French colonies, take up arms and fight. Yes, and fight. Because honestly, the thuggery in these countries is far beyond. How can a minister of finance be controlled by a government elsewhere? How can all monies being made in this country must be accounted for elsewhere? Leadership in these countries must be changed, Linda. Leadership in these countries must be changed. That's why I say the common man must fight. Me, a Marxist, does not believe in sitting down there when someone is cheating you. Marxism told me to use whatever I have to fight back. Linda, we must teach our people, encourage them not to sit on their rights and fight back. You're a fighter, Linda. I'm a fighter in my own way. We fight using this media to talk out our grievances.
Yes, you know, Kata, yeah? I've always said of my own personal work I've done, my motto is, we are not going to win any wars with bullets and blood. If we do have victories that way, they are short-lived, as we've seen in our own continent. The way that we are going to win Africa back is through words and facts and speaking as people. It's by educating people and letting them know the facts. And I believe that if you have knowledge, it must be passed on to the next person. We have so many people that we're looking forward to coming on the show that have got completely different information on things that we don't have, because we need to also question. I think what the biggest problem on this continent, aside from religion, is the education system across Africa. We are the world's most amazing people. We are with inventions and things. I mean, did you know that there was a Nigerian that invented the iPhone sensor? We've got rocket scientists. We've got leading surgeons the world over that are African people. Look at all our artists, and some of the best classic novels that have, and writing ever has come out of Africa. And our art, like the Benin bronzes, are unmatched worldwide, even to this day, by any modern art or old. The Picassos and Monets and all that are not nothing on the skill of these artists. And I think that we need to say, why are we not raising a continent of mineral-loving people who are so into finding minerals, discovering how to use them, discovering how... we have no knowledge here, and we also do not have much... we're oppressed as far as that goes. As also with our history and our evolutionary roots, the cradle of mankind, none of us know how to read DNA, none of us know how to excavate and know how many layers down, how many years. And I have a lot of concern with the fact that we are letting foreigners go into places like Egypt and that and excavate and then tell us what the results are. Take our DNA and say, well, this is what you are and this is what... would we be able to know whether any of us were being told the truth or not? We can't fact check it because we don't have that knowledge. We are just being raised to be, as African people, I feel it's a reverse of what I saw in the then Rhodesian colonial system of education, which I see now, the oppression of Black people and the raising up of the whites to be seen as to be admired and looked up to and everything. I see that as we as an African continent are being raised to be the oppressed generation to the West in the future. I talk often about it. I feel that it's the genocide of the African continent which is taking place here. And it's the raising of the next generation of slaves. Many of us are slaves. We don't think we are, but we are. So we have homes and jobs and that, but we're not earning very much. We're not living in a great way. We don't make any decisions for ourselves. Our health, we have all these things pushed on us now. You have to have COVID, otherwise a vaccine, otherwise you don't get a job and stuff like that. All our rights have been taken away from us. We think that we are free, but we're not free. We're absolutely not free. And we need to start seeing this. There are, no matter how advanced the world gets and technology gets, there are still going to be things that people, actual hands are needed for. And I honestly believe, I see people running to the UAE because they are earning good salaries there compared to what they could be earning in Africa. If our countries were managed properly, they could be earning 10 times that amount in Africa, but they're not. So they're running away and being treated despicably by other people. And the same as in the UK. You'll be thrilled to go and get a job washing dishes because you'll be earning far more money than you'll earn here probably as a doctor or a lawyer. And you've got free medical aid and you've got medical and all that stuff as well. We are being raised to be the next generation of slaves to the West. And China, they treat their people despicably. They're running out of space. China is building all our roads, railways, harbors, ports to help us African people. They are taking our minerals as collateral. And I believe they're building trade routes for themselves for the future. They can take all our minerals off the continent. And we are going to be left with no minerals in a barren Africa, and we can't allow that to happen. It's not going to happen. These changes are not going to happen in our lifetime, even in our children's lifetime. But that's the thing with humanism. You don't think of yourself. You think of other people around you, the future of our continent. This is a gift that Africa gave us, and we need to... Okay, Kato?
Yes, Linda, we are going to conclude. Thank you so much, because we may end up...
Thank you so much.
...sharing the rest of the...
I'm so passionate about this. I could talk all night.
Me and you are passionate.
Touch me. Absolutely.
You have made a very touching statement, which I want to conclude with. You have said that we are being made slaves for the West.
Yes, I believe
And
so. I personally believe so.
And I agree with that assertion. The West is grooming more slaves in Africa, this time more democratic slaves. And I should add that our professionals now, I call them professionals in courts because they have been miseducated, are working as domestic slaves in Arab countries. Linda, the pain I have is to see a parent who pays school fees for her daughter and she graduates after selling her property, this widow, and a child, 20 years, goes to Oman, goes to Saudi Arabia, goes to all these Arab countries to become a maid. When this person is a graduate of journalism, is a graduate of accountancy, is a graduate of marketing, is a graduate of development studies, is a graduate of whatever the course. After training this young lady, Linda, the way you have your daughter, Logan, imagine after training her for 20 years, and then she doesn't have a job, and the best job she can have is to go to the Middle East and become a slave to an Arab. And in most cases, many of these Arabs do not value African lives. And I'm repeating,
that's true.
In most cases, statistics showing us that many of these Arabs still think Africans are half human. Africans are like animals to be beaten and killed. Linda, I can tell you in Uganda, each year we register over 50 cases of missing girls or girls who have been amputated, girls with missing organs, or girls returned home dead. From where? From the Middle East. Who are these girls? Graduates who never got jobs. Linda, when you feel me on this set being emotional and tough speaking, it's because I have seen the worst in Africa. It's because I have written the worst from Africa. Because I have traveled many countries in Africa. Linda, I'm exposed. I've gone to Europe. I've gone to many countries in Africa. I've gone to the US. I know what I'm talking about. So when you see me annoyed on set, it's because I am touched. I cannot want to see my daughters going to the Middle East. It rather happens when I'm dead. Because I know how the parents suffer when their children are returned in a casket, barely 25 years of age. Because a brutal Arab killed this daughter. They are raped, they are enslaved. Linda, do you know that in the Arab world, our daughters are put on the markets and sold like chattel, as if we are back in the 15th century, Linda? And the viewers, our girls are sold like chattel, like pigs, like cows, like goats in the Arab world. And we cannot simply sit down and say these things are good. This is humanity, Linda. When you hear me saying we must change governments and bring in governments that are pro-people, I feel this pain because I don't want my children, I don't want my daughters to go through the same calamity many girls in Uganda go through. That's why I no longer want the fantasy of democracy, ballots, democracy. People must fight for their democracy, Linda. We must get the leaders we should have. Not leaders
I agree with you. I agree.
Not leaders that are stealing votes. Not leaders that the West imposes on us. Because they want leaders who are going to help them steal more and more from Africa. And then they call us, you are so poor, you are so poor, Africans are poor, Africans are lazy. What nonsense is that? You create leadership that steals from us, and then you call us lazy for stealing from us. leaders that connive with capitalists, with companies to steal from Africa. Linda, our girls are dying. Linda, our boys are into crime because they have no jobs. Why?
I know.
Why? The Chinese are flooding African markets. And no one seems to care. You start an industry, you start a small factory, and the government is going to frustrate you because a Chinese has what we call a free holiday, a tax holiday. The Chinese does not pay taxes. The Chinese has free land from government of Uganda. The Chinese has free water. The Chinese has free electricity. And the government of Uganda cannot give the same incentives to a local Dennis Bongole who is doing the same business. You bring a Chinese in Uganda, you give them a favor much better than a local Ugandan. Now, how do you expect Ugandans to grow? And then you stand in the West and say, oh, Africans are poor because they are lazy. Oh, Africans are poor because of this. They are stereotyping us without knowing what's happening in Africa. Our mothers, our grandparents, our sisters in the villages wake up at 5, at 6 to go to the gardens, Linda. They work their backs to the breaking point. Africans are so hardworking, but what are they getting out of their hard work, Linda? When they can't even feed themselves, when they cannot get sugar and essentials. So, Linda, I'm submitting my last on this segment. Democracy in Africa, politics gone wrong in Africa, and shall continue talking more about this. I'm going to hand over to you, Linda, and make a conclusion, and then we say goodbye. Thank you very much for being a nice audience. Linda, over to you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you for all the comments. We'll get back to them. I can't see them on my side, just one or two. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I know most of you watched after the show's aired during the course of the week. Please connect with us on our Facebook channel, Call to Activism Africa. We do have a private WhatsApp group. We've made it private now because we've had a lot of spamming on there. So if you would like to join, please send us a message on Facebook Messenger on our page and just saying who you are, which country you're from, and why you're interested in joining, so that we can add you, we can vet you. Keta and I have become quite adept with research for writing, figuring out who's the fakes and who are the real people behind the names. So we don't have any imposters on our group. So we are very aware of that. And then we also wanted to say, please, our YouTube channel and our Facebook channel is a wealth of information. We are posting videos from all sorts of other people, other countries, very old footage that is often not seen, explaining things that you can see for yourself what our history is all about. And it's just wonderful. Like I said, I think we've got about 25% of the African continent represented, and we would love to have everybody on board and everybody joining us in our very lively discussions, posting photographs of our newspaper headlines in each country and really learning what is happening in every country and standing together as Africans. We need to find a way to do this. We need to stop seeing each other as foreigners. We're not foreigners, we're neighbors, we're family. We're all connected, especially our immediate neighbors. For me, that's Zimbabwe is my country, Zambia. And Botswana and Namibia, they're also that thing. If we can just start even helping people close to us, standing up for them. I got a message from our guest, Fidelis Shame. He's very sorry. He had connection issues in Zambia, but we completely understand this. That we all sit in the dark while the West just turn up their lights on 24/7. He's really apologetic. He will join us again in the future. And I know that he really, really wanted to speak a lot tonight about the opposition leader, Ms. Mumbi Piri, who I'm very embarrassed to say that I did not even know about. I did not even know about this amazing woman, or that she had been imprisoned, literally on my doorstep, which just shows you how close off we are from what's really happening in each of our countries. I'll end off by saying, stop selling yourself short as African people, as Black people. Stop selling your continent short and stop teaching this nonsense to your children. We are the most amazing continent of people. We have so much potential. We have everything here that we need. But more than any of that, we've got true hearts. And we don't want untold wealth and all the trappings. We just want to be able to live a life of peace and have food for our children and know that there's a future for them. So I'm just saying to you, We aren't foreigners. We are neighbors. The West is not coming to save us, and East is not coming to save us, and no God is coming to save us. Only we can save each other, and only we can save ourselves. And we need to start working together in unity as a continent, peacefully, and making changes, standing up for the rights of those in other countries, crusading and campaigning for people who are imprisoned, who aren't anything to do with our country or government, because it's all connected. So I think if any way I could end off tonight is just by saying that we need to stand together and connect as African people. And I think you're all amazing. And I love Africa with all my heart. I would never live anywhere else. I am connected to my continent, through the bad and the good. And I just want to leave this world a better place one day, where I've made it a little bit better than it was, than the world, than the Africa that I was born into. And I know that we all feel exactly the same way. So thank you for joining us tonight. And we'll see you same time next week. Kata, I think next week we are focusing on Uganda. It's going to be our topic of interest, which will also weave into all the issues that are, and you know that I love getting a dig at Dick Jason with them wherever possible. Him and Buhari are my two favorites to take shots at, verbal shots at the moment. So you'll be sure that I'll get a few digs in there about what's really going on in Uganda, if I may.
Yeah, thank you so much, Linda. My sister Linda, thank you so much. We are focusing on Uganda next Saturday. Uganda, we are coming with more fire. We are going to show you more fire. Bye-bye, everyone. Next week, Uganda.
Bye.
Stay safe. Keep hope alive. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
Thank you.